Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. This week we're going to do a bit of maintenance. A few weeks ago while trying to get the P407 up a rather steep hill with the truck bouncing around on the suspension, the rear axle let go. Now it's not too surprising. When we opened the axle up to lock the diff, one of the bearings had given up, making the input shaft a little wobbly, which really wasn't ideal for a good mesh. This time, if you grab the yoke on the shaft, it's got quite a bit of movement, so I'm fairly sure one of the bearings has broken again. With the body off, we can do a quick test. I've plugged in a 2S LiPo and turned the radio on, so if you grab one of the rear tyres and apply a little bit of throttle, we get a sound that will be familiar to most RC people. Yeah, it sounds pretty nasty, but I can already tell the gears are going to be way past their best already, so the extra bit of damage from the test really won't matter. The sound's going to be coming from the teeth on the small gear on the input shaft, skipping over the teeth on the crown gear. If nothing else, the vibration from the gear skipping has shaken loose quite a bit of dirt, so that was useful. To fix the problem, I've got a couple of replacement diffs that also come with the input shaft and a couple of bearings. They're only £6 or so from the usual Chinese sources. The numbers on the packets aren't especially useful, but if you search for HengGuan P407, they usually pop up. The new diff looks like it's been assembled well enough, the screws look like they're done up, and it's pretty well packed with some red grease. We're going to be locking it with a screw pin, but it's still nice to know it's got grease in there. The input gear looks okay too, not the nicest casting for the gear, but it'll do the job. After a few minutes running, it's going to smooth out anyway. To gain access to the guts of the axle, we have to remove the rear wheels. They're held on with 3 screws each rather than a wheel nut. Much to my surprise, the screws have worked almost perfectly. Usually they need a quick tighten up if you're running for more than 4 or 5 hours. Next, we need to remove the screw pin attaching the input shaft to the yoke on the drive shaft. The pin comes out, and with a bit of leverage the yoke slides off. We did use some thread lock on the pin last time, so it's still a bit sticky. Next, we need to remove the plates that clamp the axles. They're each held on with 4 M3 nuts. Now, because of the way everything's mounted to the leaf springs, we need to keep some upward pressure on the U-bolts. If they fall down, everything's going to fall apart, and it's a bit of a faff trying to get it all back together. For best results, undo all the nuts so they're still attached by a turn or two, then make really sure you're supporting the U-bolts before removing them completely. Now the plates come off. They're usually a bit stubborn, especially if they've been on there a while. Just work them back and forth a bit while lifting and they should come loose. The axle can lift out now. We need to move it backwards a little bit too, just to clear the tongues on the brace bars. Just be very careful not to lose those U-bolts. To keep everything safe, we can pop the plates back on. They only need to be over the threads. They should grip well enough to keep the bits on the leaf springs. Just don't knock it too hard or breathe too deeply. And now, after a quick wipe with a paper towel, we have our slightly dodgy axle. To get the axle apart, we need to remove all the screws. There's a couple of different sizes, so we need to make sure we keep track of which one goes where. First, we're going to loosen all the screws a little bit so we can quickly spin them out with an Allen key. If we lay all the screws out on a paper towel as we go, the idea is that we'll know where they came from. If we separate the axle halves, we can see what state all the bits are in. First, the grease has spread itself around quite nicely, and it's still in fair condition, so that's a good start. Last time we had an axle apart, it was the larger of the 2 bearings on the input shaft that had gone. And there we go, there's part of the outer race. That's not great. When the bearings let go, the input shaft isn't held straight, which is why it's skipping teeth. You can see where it started rubbing. Before we get too far into the swap, it's not a bad idea to give the bits a good wipe down so we don't get ourselves too sticky. One of the axle shafts is just a press fit, so with a good tug it should come straight out. The other end has the diff lock locking screw pin holding it in, so we'll need to remove it to pull the shaft out. Unfortunately, the gear on the input shaft has had a good go at the top of the screw, so I can't get my usual Allen key in. It just won't quite fit. But that's where having a collection of those cheap short Allen keys you get with kits is good to have. Usually the cheapy ones aren't quite the right size. Sometimes they're a little bit small, sometimes they're a little bit big. A bit of a pain when putting kits together, but when you've got a misshapen head, sometimes one of them will fit. Now all we need to do is unscrew the screw pin and remove it. Then pull the shaft out. Inside the axle housing, if we dig around in the grease, we find more bits of the bearing. We really don't want any of it left behind to get between the new gears. The best thing to do is thoroughly clean out the housing. Something like WD-40 will soften the grease and let you scrub it out with a nail brush. Soapy water to wash it. Then if you really want to get the rest out, wipe it around with a bit of cellulose thinners to get anything that's left. We can get rid of the old diff and input shaft now, and the broken bits of the bearing. They're really not going to be any use to anyone. First then, we can pop 2 bearings onto the new diff. Now they're not a tight fit, but they're good enough. It does mean that they might fall off if you're not paying attention though. Next we need to press in the axle shafts. There's a couple of ways to double check that you get them in the right ends. You can pop the diff into the housing and look at the lengths. Also, one of the axle shafts has the hole for the diff locking pin, so as long as you match them up, you can't really go wrong. The shafts are a very tight fit into the new diff. I think the holes in the internal gears are either a little rough or slightly undersized. It's not a bad thing though, it means there's going to be zero slop. You just need a little bit of pressure to get them in. Next, with the hole lined up for the diff lock pin, we can thread it in. The actual shaft might need a bit of a wiggle to get it lined up well enough for the pin to go in, but that's pretty typical for this type of diff lock. So that's the axle shaft assembly ready to go. We can drop it in the housing so it's ready later. On the input shaft, we're going to replace the new big bearing with a nice one from RC Bearings. Hopefully it's going to last a little bit longer than the one HG provide. I'm thinking the last one failed because the small bearing isn't the greatest either. So when the small bearing starts to get a bit wobbly, all the force will be trying to twist the big bearing, causing it to crack. To get the bearings off the shaft, we need to remove a fairly chunky E-clip. You can easily get a small flathead screwdriver in and firmly press down with the shaft spaced off the bench. As long as you're careful not to slip, it should pop free without much fuss. I'm starting to think the best thing to do is going to be to get a Bruiser bearing pack from RC Bearings and just replace the whole lot, or at least the axle bearings. I need to do some research, but I think other than a couple in the gearbox, the bearing kit for the Tamiya should fit. On the input shaft then, we have the E-clip, a washer, then the small bearing followed by the big bearing. To replace the big bearing, I've got an 8x12 by 3.5 sealed bearing to go in. Now it's not going to last forever if the small bearing starts to wobble, but it'll probably last a little bit longer than the stock one. Anyway, we need to reassemble the pack on the shaft, big bearing, small bearing, the washer, followed by the E-clip. Then it just sits in the axle and it's ready for some lube. Now it's worth noting there's no extra room for shims, it's all pretty tight as it is, and the mesh, while a little bit loose, is good enough. For grease I'm going to use some blue lithium. I've tried various other brands with good results, but when browsing eBay I found this stuff from a supplier here in the UK. They do a few sizes at a very good price. This 90-gram tin should last for quite a while. All we do is use a cocktail stick to pop some grease around the crown gear. It doesn't need to be perfect. Once it's all running, it's going to get spread out almost immediately. As long as there's a good bit in there, it's going to do the job just fine. Now we can pop the other half of the housing on and start refitting all the screws. We have them roughly how they were laid out on the paper towel, so it's just a case of screwing them all back in. Initially, just do them up so they're just seated to bring the housing halves together. Then go corner to corner, nipping them up the rest of the way. Usually it would be called a cross pattern. If you want more detail, look up head bolt tightening for full-size cars. It's exactly the same principle. Refitting the axle is the reverse of removing it, more or less. First we need to hold the U-bolts up against the leaf springs and carefully remove the plates. The axle drops in. Now it's a bit tricky to get it past the tongues on the braces, but it is doable without dropping a U-bolt. Just be careful. Pop the plates back in and the axle should be fairly stable. Now before we refit all the nuts, we'll just double check that the axle's the right way up. If we spin the front wheels and make a note of which way the prop shaft spins, we can turn the hub on the rear axle and make sure the input shaft spins the same way that the prop did. Now we can refit all the nuts, and at first we'll just do them up so they're level with the ends of the threads and even. Then tighten them up a little bit at a time until the axle's just being grabbed. We're going to need the axle to be nice and centered, and we want it to be nice and level, or perhaps just slightly tipped so the input shaft points upwards. No more than a degree or so though. When it's in just the right spot, start tightening the nuts a little bit at a time until the axles are well and truly clamped in position. Offer up the yoke to the input shaft and reinstall the screw pin, making sure it's all the way done up. Pop the wheels back on with the screws, and we're ready for a quick test. Well, that sounds about as good as it did before the bearing went, so that'll do. I have noticed it's looking like the front axle is suffering from the same problem. There's a lot of wobble on that input shaft. Chances are it's the big bearing again. Oh well, I think it's time to order a complete bearing pack with some decent bearings. As cheap as the diffs are, they shouldn't really be considered a consumable. So that'll do for now, I think. If nothing else, that'll keep it going for a little while. It's not the first time I've seen a collateral damage from a NAF bearing, and it probably won't be the last. So that's it for this week. As always, thanks for watching. Like if you liked, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment if you got something to say. Bye guys!